Welcome to the Daily Coffee Pro, friends. Today's episode is sponsored by Elixir of Specialty Coffee. Head to elixirofspecialtycoffee.com and enter code IMAPITFORWARD to get 10% off your first order. Today on the Daily Coffee Pro, I want to talk about what I learned from my conversation with the folks from Coffee at Large yesterday. It was a wonderful conversation. If you don't know what Coffee at Large is, it's a movement that was instigated by a group of 4 folks who walked out of Slate Coffee in the middle of service. When this broke a few weeks ago, I wanted to hang back and just watch how this unfolded, because I've seen many a group start a movement and not many of them have actually shown the level of maturity and intention that I was witnessing from the folks at Coffee at Large. And so, after watching what was going on and also inviting Slate Coffee to the table to be a part of the conversation, which they have not accepted yet, I managed to get the folks, I got Samantha Capel and Felix Tran on the podcast yesterday, on the long format Map It Forward podcast. And I have to say, I was very impressed with the conversation that we had. The main underlying reason I've been so impressed with these folks is because they have managed to set aside their personal anger and other emotions that they've felt personally about the situation that's happening between them and Slate, and realize that from this is a greater movement that needs to happen because of what they've been witnessing in the coffee industry about the way that employees are being treated. And what they are talking about is not new. I could really relate, and I know a lot of other baristas that can really relate with the discontent and the anger and the humiliation that a lot of these folks were feeling about the way they were treated by their employer, or allegedly treated by their employer. And it's humiliating. You don't feel great. You don't enjoy going to work. You don't want to be there. You want to show up and give 110%. You want to learn and grow as a professional, and you find yourself in a work environment that isn't supportive of that. But you're stuck between a rock and a hard place, because you're working for a brand that looks great on your resume, and you show up thinking, well, the reason this place must be doing great is because they treat their staff well, only to find out that the employers are providing less than a safe or supportive is a better word, work environment that cultivates growth and professionalism and training and all that kind of stuff. So, what have I learned since that conversation in my pondering about this? I have come to realize that we are in a new time, friends. While the issue that they're experiencing is not new, their approach to the issue is new. And it's new because the moment is right. When I was coming up, and I had one particular situation that the whole city I was working in Sydney, knew that this place was notorious for treating its staff not well. And it always stems back to a lack of communication from leadership. But what we didn't have at the time was social media. We didn't have as big a voice. So even though, and it was very strange, even though everybody knew how fucking horrible it was to work at this place, customers would come in and near on worship at the altar that was our espresso machine. So clearly there were some ego issues there from our perspective as baristas. But everybody wanted to come and work there because the name you got on your resume, having said that you survived there. It was like, hey, I survived working at this place. The difference now is that social media, coupled with the different values that millennials have compared to my generation, the Gen Xers that were coming up, and the different value that millennials place on different currencies. So as Sam was saying in the podcast yesterday, you can get away with paying people less these days as long as you shower them with appreciation and gratitude. That to millennials is a very important currency. But it's got to be genuine and it's got to be authentic, and it needs to be a supportive environment. And if you're not providing a supportive environment, it's going to trigger a lot of insecurities that millennials experience that perhaps Gen Xers didn't experience it as much. And that became obvious when I was talking to Felix yesterday, when he was expressing that he is somebody who lives with a lot of anxiety. And living with this kind of anxiety is not something that's new to a lot of people in our industry. We seem to attract a certain kind of insecure human, me being one of those people as I was coming up. But when we have those experiences, being in a situation where there is either bullying that exists, toxic masculinity, racism, any of those kinds of things that exacerbate those emotions. I clearly can't talk today, but where those emotions are exacerbated, are going to trigger people into a response that may not be comfortable for you, as a long-term response that's not going to be comfortable for you as an employer. So we need to take this seriously. And by we, I mean the whole industry. This is a really great signal to employers and employees in the specialty coffee world, in the service industry in general. And why this is important is because I'm convinced these folks aren't playing. They are doing a great job at being very well intentioned and very deliberate about what they're trying to achieve. They are forming a non-profit. They are getting the right mentors in place. They're putting together the right guidelines to help assist people that are looking to take the kind of action that they've taken. And they are putting together a nonprofit through a GoFundMe. I encourage everyone that can support to support either financially or by sharing the GoFundMe and getting behind Coffee at Large. The result of what's happening is that employees around the world, and these folks have been contacted from people all over the world. We spoke about it on the podcast. And people are asking them, how do I go about doing the same thing that you guys have done? And they want to be very responsible in helping advise people, both from a legal perspective and from a workplace safety perspective and from a mindfulness perspective. And so, given that we live in the era that we live in, it's not just that you're going to lose employees if you don't go to the effort of creating a work environment that's supportive and has a great culture. It's going to end up in the press, and your customers are going to hear about it. Till now, Slate Coffee were not able to reopen, or are not able to reopen, the Ballard location, which is the location that these folks actually stormed out of. They haven't been able to open that location, and it's interesting to see that they've been written about in the local press in Seattle. And so if you are an employer who is not across treating your employees well and providing a safe, supportive environment for them to flourish as employees and helping them become the best professional that they can, I think you should look at what's going on very seriously and either learn how to fix it or finding people that can help you fix it. Feel free to reach out to Map It Forward. And, we've got a couple of resources that we can recommend to help with this. These folks have hit a nerve that has been exposed for a long time. And it is high time that it gets presented, because there are too many people in our industry that have businesses that, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, feel free to send me emails and tell me that I'm an asshole, but there are too many people who have businesses in our industry that have no business having businesses, purely because they don't know how to fucking treat people. And part of the journey of becoming a business owner needs to be learning how to manage a team and how to have great leadership practices. The time ahead of us is complex. This problem is complex. We're going to see more walkouts. We're going to see, as a result of that, more businesses getting shamed and closing. I haven't decided yet if I think that that's a good thing or a bad thing. I know that that might sound like a bit of a Thanos approach to things, but we're far too quickly becoming, and in most demographics this is already the case, geographies this is the case, markets are saturated so that the people who should be owning businesses aren't able to thrive because there's too many other operators that shouldn't be thriving because they're not doing business well and they're not treating their staff well. So if we can help them close quickly, and have them reabsorbed into the workforce, that would work better for them and for the industry and the workforce economy. I'd love to know what you think. If you haven't watched the episode or listened to the episode, it's episode 64 of the Map It Forward podcast, not the Daily Coffee Pro. It's all in the same stream, but it's yesterday's episode. Go and check it out. And if you haven't started following Coffee at Large, hit them up at Coffee at Large. All the links are in the show notes below. But let me know what you think of what the future of this presents to our industry. It's a really interesting discussion to have, and I think we need to talk more about it. If you need help with this situation in your own workplace, and let's not delude ourselves into thinking that people don't know when they have a toxic workplace. You know if you've got a toxic workplace, and you're losing staff left, right, and center. You can't retain the staff that you think you want to retain, and the staff that you are retaining are unhappy. They're usually there because they are undocumented, or they don't have any confidence to find another job, or they don't want to go to the trouble of finding another place to work because they're scared of the ramifications of that. So if you need help, there is help there. Reach out. Hit us up through @IMapItForward on Instagram in the DMs. We read all of them. So go ahead and you will not be able to get away with the excuse of, I didn't know how to fix this. You fucking do know how to fix it. We're telling you how to fix it. We're giving you the opportunity to fix it. If you're not treating people well, it's time to start treating people better. Because if this goes to shit, it goes to shit quickly. The robots will take over because baristas are losing their job, and you're going to end up being out of business when you didn't have to go out of business. I'm really excited to see where this goes. Peace, love, and peanut butter, friends. Have an amazing rest of your day.